Welcome back to République.
That was unexpected. Can we trust her? I'd like to think so. After all, she let me keep the keycard. Or maybe she just forgot I had it.
Well then, it would seem Miss Sade is stewing in a broth of remorse and hard alcohol tonight. However, she does have a solid plan for dispatching those two Prizrak at the service elevator. I'd advise you and the girl to follow Maddie's lead on this. Drive safely.
And she let us keep the keycard.
This keycard, compliments of Maddie Sade, operates the service elevator going to the surface.
I do have to wonder though, does Cooper actually know what Matty's plan is? For that matter, do we know what Matty's plan is? Everyone seems to be going along with this, including Hope. And we can probably make a pretty good guess as to what roughly is about to happen. But I just can't help but wonder whether or not Cooper's confidence is a little misplaced. Time for our first backtrack through this room.
Oh, bugger! Do you hear me? Hello to both of you. My name is Matty, and I'll be your tour guide tonight. Are you back at the terminus yet? Go ahead and choose one of the two server wings, Atlantic or Pacific. We'll reconvene when you get there.
How does everybody keep getting our number? This is Atlantic. It's basically a little mini dungeon.
Mark 3.
Data keeps best when chilled.
Also, yes, we are now dropping all pretenses that we are not walking around a giant computer. Anyway, Atlantic is, like I said, a little mini dungeon. It's got a couple of floors, a lot of connected catwalks, a surprising number of stairways, a couple of patrolling guards, and a whole lot of stuff to collect. It is also, in keeping with the theme established by the Morning Bell officers, kind of irritating to navigate. And yes, there is a robotic voice reading out random lines of dialogue from nothing in particular in the background at all times. That's not disconcerting at all. So yeah, in conclusion, this room is not great. Everything looks the same, it's hard to get around, and we've not only got stuff to find, but guards to pickpocket. The closest is this guy. He's not very important in the greater scheme of things, but he's directly in our way and I've got too many tasers.
Alright kids, you're on the right track. Work your way through there to the server room, and mind the Prizrak. They've sworn an oath to protect the terminus, even though they haven't a clue what it is.
Why is it so cold in here?
Teleoptic condition.
Target neutralized.
Honestly, I think all of this room's problems lie at the intersection of all of République's problems. All of its irritation comes from having to scour it for stuff that you don't know where it is. But if you have a guide and you know where you need to go to get everything,
I'll hold on to this.
and you have a basic ability to plot a route and you can deal with the guards, which, let's face it, you can deal with the guards because République is not very difficult in terms of, quote, combat, unquote. It all kind of works out in the end. Now that rationalization aside, this room irritates the shit out of me. This is our next target, Ren. He's just upstairs from us, but I got completely disoriented and went to scan Webster instead, who's not very far away, but in just different enough a location for it to irritate me that I forgot.
Indefinite radical.
Anyway, this ends up not really mattering very much because they're both pretty close together, and they're at an intersection upstairs, and we're going there anyway.
All's quiet here.
Idoxography.
Going in to pick his pockets.
Something I wish this game would do is indicate in OmniView, just by looking at a guard without having to scan his passport, whether or not he's still carrying anything.
Sky above the Perseus Gap.
Or at least whether or not you've pickpocketed his video game. I've been trying on and off to use the fact that the icons switch from yellow to grey after you scan them as a weird means of tagging what guards I have and haven't pickpocketed. But I'm not perfect at it, and sometimes I forget either to tag them or to pickpocket them. And it's a little bit irritating when you're trying to do a mostly 100% completionist Let's Play. There we go. Now, it seems obvious in retrospect that Ren was not going to be much more of a problem for me as I went to pickpocket Webster. But in the moment it seemed an awful lot like he would walk to the end of his route, and then just as I went in for the steal on Webster he would turn around and I would get spotted. So I decided to use our delay toy to mess with their sync a bit.
Let's see what he's carrying.
Wholly unnecessary, highly tactical.
Idoxography.
Nice.
Now, we're pretty close to the objective, but frankly, we're not nearly done with Atlantic yet. First and most obviously, there's an entire confinement room we haven't checked out yet.
Comply with the nuisance.
Sounds good.
Do you think they might have overdone Hope's footstep sounds a little bit?
Idoxography.
There are a couple of things to note about this room. One of them is the kind of thing you probably would have guessed. There's a collectible in here. The other one's a little bit less obvious, although you can see it, kind of, from this angle. Maybe a different angle will help. There's a level 3 door in here. Now, we don't have the ability to open that yet, of course. But believe me, it's on our list of things to do in here.
I don't have room for anything else.
And of course, the traditional pepper spray. Now, we still have another collectible to collect out here, and an entire guard we haven't pickpocketed yet. There's the book. It's at the other end of the bridge we diverted off to reach the confinement room. I feel certain it was theoretically possible for me to have planned a better route through this room, but nah.
I'll hold on to this.
And the reason I say I could have done this better is because the guard we haven't met yet is on the lower level of this room, which we kind of did just walk past the most obvious entrance to. Backtracking is great, isn't it? Anyway, here's the man of the moment. We'll get to him. Just as soon as I formulate a plan. Now, the staircase that Ammons is staring at leads directly to the objective, and he's about to walk away from it and turn his back to us. Also, frankly, I refuse to dignify anything in his dossier with commentary.
All's quiet here.
Come on. I was not kidding about this game's slow contemplative pace.
The Overseer is a glutton for raw data. He's already cleaned his own plate. Now he's eating off yours, mine, and everyone you've ever known.
Something tells me that there's at least some data that the Overseer's permitted to be erased. I don't know where I get that idea from, though.
Ares 31, Roger.
Is this what we're looking for?
Good, you're there. That priapic metaphor you see in front of you is the Atlantic server. Have your friend access it.
If you, like me, have never heard the word priapic before, you can probably make a pretty educated guess at its meaning. Anyway, this is a thing. Whatever else it does, it gives us a software upgrade, so let's mess with it.
What's happening?
Good, you've awakened it. Be a dear and switch it on.
I am extremely not a fan of Matty's use of the word awakened.
Metamorphosis is so gloomy this time of year. Let's get out and explore the world, shall we? I wonder what the weather's like in David Bowen's hometown of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Select that location on the map.
If it's alright with you, Matty, I think I'd rather just pan around and take this in a little bit. There's a pretty conspicuous concentration of signals gathered around what I'd like to say is the Gilbert Islands in the South Pacific. You can read about them on Wikipedia if you want. Anyway, let's click on things.
We're looking for a different place.
As you can probably imagine, there's only one thing here that we're supposed to click on, but we can click on the others if we want.
This isn't relevant to our investigation.
I don't know what's the link between Casey the Dreamer and London's Heathrow Airport, but damn, that guy is getting some mileage out of his Kickstarter pledge.
Nothing to see here.
And I guess we should have expected this one to be Murray. Obviously, not every location is going to have something that we recognise. But this one does. In any case, we can probably make a pretty good guess out of the link between the places that we're clicking on and the names that we're seeing. They're the origins of the citizens of Metamorphosis.
We're looking for a different place.
And I suppose a few other select individuals that the Overseer has decided to keep tabs on.
That's the spot.
Chattanooga, and only Chattanooga, allows us to dig deeper. So here's a guy's house. This is a thing that we're doing now in this game. The fact that we're seeing this has some implications about Metamorphosis and the Overseer. I'll just let you stew on those while we poke around.
Can I help?
No, sir. This is your last home-cooked meal for a while, and you're gonna sit right there and not lift a finger.
That I can do.
I hope they feed you decently. Can't have you wasting away on me.
I'm sure they'll feed us. Are you worried about me?
Always.
This is a great opportunity, Les.
If it's so great, why didn't Mitchell sign up too?
Beth's family is loaded. Mitch doesn't have to take every job comes his way. I'm gonna miss you.
I'm making buttermilk pie.
You hear what I just said?
Yeah, I heard you. That reminds me. When you get to where you're going, check your gray carry-on. I left you a surprise.
Did you now? Well, I should warn you. This place I'm going, they have strict rules about contraband. Especially contraband of a pornographic nature.
Relax. They're tasteful.
Then I should have no problem smuggling them in.
Someday we're going to have to get curious as to how all these conversations end up imprinted on objects. Anyway.
Nice. That could be useful. What else can you find?
Well, that all seemed morally compromising. Let's keep going.
Where are you? Once again, I find myself sitting here, alone, talking to a computer with no one on the other side. David, I don't know what to do. I spent $14 on this microphone so that we could talk. I don't know where you are. I haven't heard from you in weeks. You said you would be able to call every day. June is having a really rough time at school. And Libby has impetigo. And Dr. Carter says we could get it. If you have a doctor there, please, go see him. I don't want you to get anyone else sick. You could be really contagious. And it's worse if you get it as an adult.
I'm starting to see why Matty likes this place so much.
Brilliant. Keep searching, you two.
As you're probably beginning to piece together, the goal of this remote home invasion is to dig up as much dirt on David Bowen as we possibly can in an attempt to get something to stick to him. What we are not here to do is to look too carefully at the outside environment, because this game knew where to spend its budget and where not to. You'd think there'd be some asset store skyboxes they could use.
Oh, hey, Mitchell. I didn't see your truck outside.
David, your wife picked me up on the way home from the supermarket. I hope you don't mind. I took your last beer.
No, that's all right.
Hey, what you got there? Popping pills?
Huh? Oh, right. No, Libby's sick. Some kind of infection.
That's a shame.
Yeah, she's fine. These things ain't cheap, though. And I find out today they aren't covered by our plan. Pretty much the perfect cap to a week. I don't know if Leslie told you, but we're pretty upside down on the mortgage. Gotten enough late notices we could wallpaper the living room with them.
I'm sorry to hear that. Anything I can do?
Nah. You've bailed us out enough times. Can't ask you again. There's just no work right now.
Oh, man. Hey, what if I told you I might have a job for you? Hey, you're gonna have to travel, but the pay is real good.
You kidding? I'll commute to the moon and back if it means we can save this house.
But of course, what we're really here to do is to learn how to empathise with the small army of punch clock guards we've been tasing our way through.
You've got a nose for this. What else can we grab?
Hello?
Mitchell? Hey, it's
Leslie.
Leslie, yeah.
What's up?
Sorry,
Hey, don't be sorry. What's going on, darling?
We're in a lot of trouble.
What kind of trouble?
I don't know how we're going to be able to buy groceries for the week. David isn't responding to my calls. It's like he dropped off the face of the earth. The check he was supposed to send last Thursday didn't arrive, and now I don't.
Hey, it's all right. We'll figure something out.
Anything I can do to repay you.
figure something out.
Thank you. You've always been such a good friend to David. And me.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you come over to the house tonight and we'll make this all okay.
Oh, I thought Beth said you were out of town.
Oh, well, yeah, Beth's going to her sister's for the weekend, but, hey, I'll be here. What'd you like for dinner tonight? I'll pick us up something, and I'll get us a bottle. You still drinking Irish Gold?
Oh, I shouldn't. I have to be up early tomorrow.
No. You come over and relax and have a drink with me. We'll make this okay. Don't you worry, darling. We'll figure this all out.
I wonder, mostly rhetorically, how much Mitchell knew about what this job would involve.
We're close. Let's find just a bit more.
Mom?
June, did we forget how to knock? Sorry. Jeez, shut the door. Now, let's try that again.
Mom, may I please come in?
You may.
What are you doing?
Helping your father pack a suitcase.
What did you just stick in there?
None of your business. Did you finish doing your homework?
Yes. Mom, is Daddy joining the cult?
Of course not.
But this boss guy, Treglazov, he sounds like he's running a cult.
I'm sure it's not that bad.
Do not talk about our fearless leader that way.
Seriously, Dad?
Hey, listen to me, Junebug. I am not joining a cult. I admit this seems a little weird, but this is a great opportunity for our family. There's a lot of money in this job. It's private security. This is no different than when I went to work at JL National. You remember?
That was in Akron, Ohio. This is like halfway around the world.
Yeah, it's a little bit further, but we need the money. Don't worry. I don't care one bit about this guy's belief system, and neither should you. If this Treglazov turns out to be as crazy as he looks, I'll just leave. I'll turn around and come right home. I promise.
All told, I kind of love this section.
We should have enough to make this Prizrak disappear.
It even has its own little gimmick.
Let's conjure a little journalistic magic. We're here to build a case against the Prizrak David Bowen. The full story, replete with scandalous quotes and damning photos. Select some audio or an image to get started.
This is almost entirely self-explanatory.
Nothing worse than a sharp image of a fuzzy concept. Let's pick the most incriminating photo we can.
For reasons of game design contrivance, we're limited to 5 photos of the 5 objects we scanned.
We have the photo. Choose a soundbite with some real bite.
Each photo gets some unique commentary from Matty, but never when you choose it first. So...
A kitchen knife. But is it sharp enough to cut him where it counts?
Ha, see what she did there. Anyway, the picture of the knife doesn't seem like it's going to be very useful. Let's choose something else. Something that actually plays into something that we know this guy did that the administration isn't going to like.
A picture of a camera. Irony will be your undoing, Mr. Bowen.
This'll work. Now let's listen to some of these sound bites.
I don't care one bit about this guy's belief system, and neither should you.
No.
Boss guy, Treglazov.
No.
I should warn you. This place I'm going, they have strict rules about contraband.
Getting there.
Then I should have no problem smuggling them in.
Bingo.
Beginner's luck. You've got a future in journalism. Would you like to publish this?
We could print this. Or I could keep showing you stuff.
Try again.
As you can imagine, there are a couple of different solutions here.
Unfortunate. This Prizrak fell on hard times. Still, it's not our job to soften his landing. Maybe we can use this image against him.
Yeah, Our society does like to treat being poor as a crime sometimes, but it's not exactly a scandal.
Antibiotics. As usual, it's not the pills themselves that are dangerous. It's the infection they were meant to quell that could bring down poor David.
This, though,
You could be really contagious, and it's worse if you get it as an adult.
that is some grade A mud to sling.
That's worthy of a Pulitzer right there. Let's send this story to print.
Now, the epidemic waiting to happen is juicy, but I'm still not feeling it.
Try another one.
Now, what else have we got?
A manifesto in the rubbish. That's not acceptable. It'd be a shame if the overseer saw that.
See, all that other stuff was great, but there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that a cult hates more than a non-believer.
But this boss guy, Treglazov, he sounds like he's running a cult.
The quote doesn't ring true in the context of that photo. Try changing it up. Let's clean the slate and do this again.
Sadly, there's only one failure dialogue.
We have the photo. Choose a soundbite with some real bite.
I don't care one bit about this guy's belief system, and neither should you. If this Treglazov turns out to be as crazy as he looks, I'll just leave.
Perfect.
That's worthy of a Pulitzer right there. Let's send this story to print.
This is it. This is the one.
Would you care to be credited for this scoop?
The game lets you use your Steam name as a byline.
Credit given where credit's due. David Bowen will see your name atop this article, provided his eyes aren't swollen shut this time tomorrow.
I still don't think much of her page layout chops.
Between you and me, I don't feel comfortable with this. Those poor people.
Don't be such a pill. We just take what we need and ignore their tales of hardship. At least I do. If you get off on every sordid detail, well, that's your problem. Now, we've got one more server to go. Let's get to the other side of Terminus.
And just like that, the game has made us empathise with the Prizrak. I love how straightforward and unpretentious this whole sequence is. It doesn't try to turn it into some high-concept gotcha where it holds up a mirror to the player and says, look at all this bad, evil stuff that you've been doing, aren't you a bad person? Nobody likes that because it doesn't work. So this game just dispenses with all that. Instead, it spends 5 minutes doing a little bit of competent world building and reminds us that these people are, people. They came from places and they had lives. Lives which their sudden disappearance and posting to Metamorphosis might have played into a little bit. And rather than play any of this up as some big reveal, mostly, like the other puzzles in the first 2 chapters, this whole thing is really just a vehicle to explore the setting a bit more. Anyway, remember this door? We're back. Let's see what was the big secret.
Good idea. My battery was getting low.
That's right, the secret was backtracking. Try not to overthink the verticalities involved in this one. But yeah, this shortcut leads us back to the very first demon server behind the staff dining room. Believe it or not, there's actually a pretty good reason to come back here. Remember the level 3 lockbox just lying on a desk in here? It's ours now.
Equip this sleep mine like any weapon in the girl's inventory. Press the set button to place it where she's standing. When a Prizrak walks over it, it's lights out for the night.
It took 2.5 episodes, but we finally found our third weapon type, and it rules incredibly.
I'll hold on to this.
They're a little bit more involved than pepper spray or tasers, so you can't just use them that effortlessly. But they work on absolutely any guard in the game, and there's absolutely no defense. They even have a little area of effect, so if you're some kind of guard patrol route savant, or you just get incredibly lucky.
Good idea. My battery was running low.
you can take out a bunch of guards with a single explosion. As you can probably imagine, we're not going to be running across a whole lot of these things in our adventures, and they aren't as abundant as tasers, so we are going to be running into a little bit of an elixir dilemma sometimes. That said, I think I can find a good use for a couple of these things. Anyway, that was the last thing of any note in the Atlantic server room, so all that remains for us is to sidle our way back to the entrance and return to Terminus. But before we do that, let's review all of the stuff that we've collected.
Conrad and I are alike in only one way. English is our third language. The man misunderstands his own material. Even the title, Heart of Darkness, drips with melodrama. Conrad portrays Kurtz as ashamed of the Congo cult that grew around him. The horror! The horror! Kurtz went beyond English civilization to become what those around him begged for most. An overseer. Their chosen god.
There are some criticisms that could, I feel, fairly be applied to Heart of Darkness. But that is not one of them. What the fuck?
Strong government is built on strong technology, librarian, but you wouldn't know it to read Shelley's Frankenstein. She shuffles dead men's body parts into one nameless whole and then makes it heroic. We cannot allow celebration of a beast so similar to the internet's anonymous. One teenage culprit is as good as any other. Capture one, and the rest simply find new proxies. Truly, they are the monster made of many parts, but no worry. We will return the world to order.
What is it with this guy and Anonymous? Seriously. This isn't even the first time he's brought them up out of nowhere.
Last initial, R.
To borrow a phrase from C.S. Lewis, frozen synapses like playing chess with a SWAT team. But unlike chess, you have to plan out all your moves ahead of time before pressing the prime button. Typically, I'll spend hours orchestrating the perfect breach, only to watch in horror as my plans go awry. My squad? Dead. My ego? Bruised beyond repair.
I love the idea of Frozen Synapse more than I think I've loved the idea of any other video game I've subsequently found to not be very enjoyable. I think it turns out that there actually is such a thing as being entirely too tactical.
Physicists tell us that if you were somehow able to view the entire universe, it would look like the human brain. This is what I think about when I play Osmos. From the tiniest floating speck to the largest glowing blob, the relationship between your movement and surroundings is all very soothing, especially its soundtrack. This game puts me on the fast track to Chilltown Station.
Osmos is one of the most conceptually tidy games I've ever played. I liked it a lot and I highly recommend looking into it.
VVVVVV is like gazing into a prism of video game past without the disappointment that your favorites weren't as good as you remember. VVVVVV's Commodore 64 style visuals get a lot of love, but VVVVVV's greatest accomplishment is its level design. Every pixel in its right place. Say it with me, VVVVVV.
VVVVVV's working title was VVVVVVVVVV. That's 11 V's.
When I first entered the cold world of Fract, I thought I was playing an unfinished game. I wandered around its flat-shaded planescapes, contemplating if I should flame the developers. I then hit some random buttons and started to peel away at the musical odyssey hidden inside. Fract rewards patient explorers with its ever-evolving funky fresh soundtrack. I bet developer Phosphine Systems is a big hit at parties.
One day I will finally be shamed into playing Fract OSC rather than just talking about how much I want to play it. Alright, no prizes for guessing what we're doing next time.